Call to order. This is a public hearing of the Metropolitan Board Zoning Appeals, Division 1. I am Mark Young, acting chairperson of Division 1. The other board members present today are Clinton McKay, Peter Nelson, Matt Boone, and Patrice Duckett Brown. Legal counsel for the board today is Chris Steinmetz. Staff members present today from the Division of Planning are Jeffrey York, Senior Planner, Robert Udenhake, Senior Planner, Marlena Aretha, Senior Planner, Genesis Hill, Associate Planner, and Heather Steffen, Senior Specialist and Secretary to the Board. Matt Pleasant is the current Planning Administrator. The Board has copies of the zoning ordinances that will be incorporated by reference into the record of each case heard today. The proceedings of this hearing are governed by the Board's rules of procedure. The expedited cases will be heard immediately after all requests for continuances or withdrawals. As each non-expedited case is called, petitioners and remonstrators interested in that particular case will please stand. Those who intend to testify will please remain standing and be sworn. Petitioners should be on your left and remonstrators on your right as you face the board. Those who testify will state their name and address for the record before beginning to testify. Petitioners and persons appearing in support of the case being heard shall have a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentation of evidence, statements, and arguments in support of the petition. Remonstrators and persons appearing in opposition to the petition shall have a maximum of 15 minutes for the presentation of evidence, statements, and arguments in opposition to the petition. Staff will then present the administrator's comments regarding the petition. The petitioner will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal and a summation of the case. Rebuttal must be limited to the subject matter of the initial presentations. Remonstrators will then be allowed 5 minutes for rebuttal of the petitioner's rebuttal evidence and a brief closing statement. No further evidence, statements, or arguments will be heard unless it is at the discretion of the board. Please limit your testimony and evidence to the matters covered in the statutory requirements, which must be met in order for the board to grant a variance. If petitioners have failed to comply with all notice requirements as stipulated by the board's rules of procedures, including posting of the notice sign on the subject property at least 23 days prior to the hearing, the board may continue the petition. Anyone at this hearing who thinks complete and proper notice has not been given and would like the petition continued due to a lack of proper notice must bring this matter to the board's attention at the beginning of the hearing. The board may impose various conditions or commitments as amendments before reaching a decision on certain petitions. The installation of landscaping and screening, the paving of parking areas, and the dedication of rights-of-way are examples. These conditions and commitments are an integral part of the board's decision and must be met for a granted variance to be valid. Compliance with conditions imposed by the board must be proved by an affidavit of compliance submitted by the petitioner within 30 days of completion. Unless otherwise specified, an improvement location permit must be obtained prior to the establishment of the authorized improvements. Failure to comply with any conditions or commitments of a variance grant is a violation enforceable by the Department of Business and Neighborhood Services. A person may file a written request to receive notice of the filing of a petition for judicial review of a decision of this board. The written request must be filed within 5 days of the board's decision and must include the person's full name and correct mailing address and a reference to the board's petition number. Forms are available and may be obtained from the board's secretary. Please be advised that contacting members of the board regarding a matter pending before the board outside of this public hearing process is prohibited. Please be courteous and orderly at all times, and please be sure all cell phone ringers are turned off. Is there anyone in the audience who has any questions about our procedures? If not, before we hear special requests, I will ask for a waiver of our rules of procedure to allow the board to vote on all expedited petitions and adopt their findings of fact in a single vote rather than voting on each petition separately. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I will now ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Aye.
And Young votes yes also. We will consider special requests and continuances at this time.
Chairman Young, members of the board, David Kingan with offices at 6180 East Market Street, here before two petitions under your new petition portion of your docket. First being 2022 DV 1025, property at 16 West Morris Street and 1150 South Meridian Street. We had filed a written request to continue and transfer this petition from Board 1 to Board 3. Our architect will be out of town when this board meets in June. And so we would request that that be granted as a as a continuance to, and a transfer to Board 3 on, I believe that's June the, not sure, the,
Board 3, the June hearing is June 21st. Is that what you're looking for?
yes, June 21st. And that would be without additional notice. That'll allow us to continue working with interested neighborhood groups and to make potential changes to our site plan.
Thank you. Is anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2022 DV1025 16 West Moore Street and 1150 South Meridian Street? If not, staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young, members of the board. Staff does object to the transfer of this petition to the Board 3 hearing. Staff has no objection to a one-time continuance, either a 1 month or a 2 month. If additional time is needed, that would be a 2 month to the July 5th hearing. Staff has no objection to that. Be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Kingan?
I'm not sure I understand why.
He was saying that just basically keep it at BZ1 because that meeting is on July 5th instead of June 21st.
And what's wrong with the transfer to the June 21st?
I'll let you answer.
The docket is pretty much full for the Board 3 hearing, and the petitioner has provided no reason to transfer the petition to another board. Therefore, the petition, in staff's opinion, should stay with this board.
We just did give a reason that the architect is going to be out of town on the June 7th date, and that is why we requested will provide critical testimony for this petition, and that's why we had requested the June 21st.
I'll let staff speak for themselves, but it sounds like they're saying that they would just prefer to stay with BZ1 and just do the July 5th date instead of transferring it to what amounts to, I guess, 2 weeks earlier on the June 21st date.
So the docket is full for the...
So I would recommend you continue for 2 months to July 5th instead of transferring.
And the docket is full for June 21st?
I believe it is, yes. So petitions are already docketed.
Is that acceptable? Or?
Well, I presume that we'll need to, the architect is critical, so we'll need to go to the July 5th date.
Okay. Is that okay with you? Okay. We received a request to transfer or continue, 2022 DV1025 16 West Moore Street and 1150 South Meridian Street to the July 5th hearing date, and that's without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I'll now ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Then later on the new petitions, we had filed a request to continue 2022 UV1009, the property located at 8930 West Washington Street. This is necessary in order for us to meet with the Gateway West Neighborhood Association, who has expressed interest. So we would ask that this petition be continued to your June 7th meeting, and that would be without additional notice.
Is anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2022 UV1009 8930 West Washington Street?
Good morning,
Come on.
Mr. President. My name is Brian Toohey. My address is 50 South Meridian. I represent an interested party. We do not have an objection to this continuance, although we would note for the record that it was not timely filed, and we would object if the next time this case is scheduled in June, we will object to that continuance. So thank you.
Thank you. Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young, members of the board. Staff has no objection to this one-time request to continue this petition to June 7th hearing without notice. However, petitioner should be prepared to go forward at that hearing. Staff will not support any more continuances.
Thank you. We received a request to transfer 2022 UV1009 8930 West Washington Street to the June 7th hearing date, and that's without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will ask for a vote. McKay?
McKay, aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Garrett Lawton. My address is 143 West Market Street, Suite 600A, here in Indianapolis, Indiana, 46204. I'm here for case number 2022 UV1-002 amended. The address of the subject parcel is 2535 East 79th Street. We're requesting a continuance. We just met with the relevant neighborhood associations last Thursday, Nora and River Park. They've asked for additional time to provide their letters of support. We believe that additional time is necessary to get those. In addition, we received yesterday from staff 2 letters of remonstration, one from a neighborhood association and one from a city council member, and we would like additional time to be able to consult with them in order to attempt to alleviate their concerns. And we would make this request without additional notice.
Okay. Just for 1 month continuance?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that has an interest in 2022 UV1-002, 2535 East 79th Street? Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff has no objection to the continuance request. However, we are prepared to move forward if needed. And that would be without additional notice.
Thank you very much. We've received a request to transfer 2022 UV1-002, 2535 East 79th Street to the June 7th hearing date, and that's without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Young, members of the board. Alex Ittermill with offices at 111 Monument Circle, Suite 2700, Indianapolis. Here on 2022 DV1019, 5329, and 5425 East Thompson Road. We previously asked for an automatic continuance a month ago to provide staff some additional information on our petition, hoping to get staff's favorable recommendation. We did not receive that, but staff did have suggestions about the height of our proposed sign and sign area, that if we can alleviate those concerns, that they would support the proximity to an existing sign and a third sign. So I talked with staff before the meeting to see if we could have additional time to see if we could come into compliance with the height and sign area, is reason one. Reason two, I found out just this morning that the property may be closing and have a new owner in the next week. And the new owner, if that happens, would like to weigh in on this as well.
Okay.
So we'd request a 30-day continuance without notice.
Thank you. So anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2022 DV1019, 5329, and 5425 East Thompson Road? Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff has no objection to the continuance request to the June 7, 2022 hearing date without additional notice.
Thank you very much. We received a request to transfer 2022 DV1019, 5329, and 5425 East Thompson Road to the June 7th hearing date, and that's without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Craig Flandermeyer, Schmidt Associates, 415 Mass Ave, Indianapolis, 46204. I'm here in regards to case 2022 DV1-23, 4330 Michigan Road. We are requesting a continuance to the June 7th hearing to allow additional time to garner support from the neighboring properties.
Thank you very much. So anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2022 DV1023, 4330 Michigan Road? Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff has no objection to the continuance request. This would require no additional notice.
Thank you very much. We've received a request to transfer 2022 DV1023 4330 Michigan Road to the June 7th hearing date, and that's without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
Young votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Young. Susan Blair with the Pike Township Residents Association. I'm here to request a continuance on 2022 UV1 011 at 8620 West 82nd Street. And we would request this continuance be to the June 7th hearing. This will enable our organization to hear this petition at our regularly scheduled meeting of tomorrow evening. The petitioner is here and he is aware of this request.
Thank you. Could the petitioner come forward, please? State your name and address, please.
Good evening, Steve Carr, 2894 Aldersgate Drive, Greenwood, Indiana 46143. We are agreeable to the continuance in order for us to do a presentation with their neighborhood group.
Okay, sounds good. This was on the expedite petition, so we're going to...
Yes, understood. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thank you. Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff has no objection to the continuance request to the June 7th, 2022 hearing date. Staff was unaware of any remonstrance prior to the publication of this report.
That's without additional notice, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. We've received a request for 2022 UV1011 8620 West 82nd Street to continue to the June 7th hearing date, and that's out without additional notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I will call for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chairperson Young, members of the board. Joe Calderon, 11 South Meridian, Indianapolis. I have two requests, one of which is on your petition, continued petition portion of your docket today, and that is 2022 UV1 007 3057 Park Avenue. We had been working with staff as well as your legal counsel and had tendered both revised findings of fact as well as the commitment that's reflected in the staff report, and we're not aware of any remonstrance. Therefore, we believe that this case should be qualified for your expedited docket and would ask that the board approve it to move it to the same.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone in the audience that has an interest in 2022 UV1 007 3057 Park Avenue? Not staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff is supportive of this being moved to the expedited docket, subject to the amended site plan. Yeah, so we have no objection.
Thank you. We received a request for 2022 UV1 007 3057 Park Avenue to be moved to the expedited portion of the docket, acknowledged by the amended site plan. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
Young votes yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, one more matter. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Joe Calderon, 11 South Meridian. This matter does not appear on your docket today, but it is scheduled for next month, June 7th, and is docket as 2022 DV1 030. Common address is 8501 through 8515 West Washington Street. This property is on the north end of the airport and is controlled by the Airport Authority. We, of course, have consent from the airport, but the request is this. Because the airport lands are so vast, we are asking that the notice area be related to the specific property in question and not the entire airport grounds. Otherwise, it'd be notifying literally thousands of people. So I believe staff's in favor of this, but they can speak. So the request would be to measure the notice list from the 8501 West Washington subject property versus the entire perimeter of the airport boundaries. It's a pretty typical request when it comes to airport land that's being developed privately.
Thank you. I'll assume no one's here regarding this request since it's...
I don't think so. Notices are scheduled to go out Friday.
Thank you. Staff?
Nobody knows?
Give us one moment while we look into
Mr.
it.
Caldron, what's the case number again?
2022 to DV1030.
DV1030, located 8501 West Washington. That is Ms. Hill's case.
A whose case?
Genesis Hill.
Oh,
Associate
Ms. Hill's
Planner.
case.
Can you repeat once more the issue?
The notice issue, as you know, we have to typically go 660 feet or 2 ownerships from a
Yes.
subject property. Because this property is a small acreage parcel within the entire airport, but it is being developed privately, we're asking for a waiver down to measuring the notice list from the subject property itself and not the entire boundary of the airport authority property.
Okay. Staff has no objection to that request.
Thank you. Mr. Steinmetz, any issues?
That's within the board's, abilities through the rules.
I want to make sure that I don't...
Those notice requirements are all imposed by our own rules and not necessarily by state statute.
Thank you. That's fine. We received a request for 2022 DB1030, 8515 through 8515 West Washington Street to amend the notification rules to allow for the send out a notification to become from the subject site address instead of from the entire airport perimeter. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
There a second?
Second.
Thank you. I'll ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
And Young votes yes.
Thank you.
I believe it's staff's turn.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson Young, members of the board. Staff will draw your attention to petition number 2022 DV1-011, located at 1422 English Avenue. This is the first continued petition. Timely automatic continuance was filed by a registered neighborhood organization, continuing this to the June 7th, 2022 hearing. This would just require the board's acknowledgement.
So acknowledged.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. Staff would draw your attention to the new petitions, 2022 DB1021 for 1868 Lafayette Road. The petitioner requested a continuance from today's hearing to the June 7th hearing. This would possibly require new notice, so with notice if needed, staff is supportive of the continuance request.
Thank you. So anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2021 DV1021, 1868 Lafayette Road? If not, we received a request for 2022 DV1021, 1868 Lafayette Road to be continued to the June 7th hearing date, and that's without notice if not required, but with notice if needed. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
Young votes yes. Thank you.
Staff would draw your attention to 2022 DV1026 and a registered neighborhood organization filed a timely automatic continuance, this would require acknowledgement.
So acknowledged.
Chairperson Young and members of the board, staff would draw your attention to petition 2022-DV1-016, addressed at 1810 South Meridian Street. This petition had been withdrawn at the request of the petitioner and would require the board's acknowledgement.
So acknowledged.
Thank you. And lastly, staff would draw your attention to petition 2022-UV1-010, addressed at 2211, 2213, 2215, 2217, 2219, and 2143 Prospect Street, and 1121 Churchman Avenue. Staff would request a continuance for cause to the June 7, 2022 hearing date with additional notice to allow the petitioner to amend the request and provide proper notice.
Thank you. So anyone in the audience that has an interest in 2022 UV1-010, 2211, 2213, 2215, 2217, 2219, and 2143 Prospect and 1121 Churchman Avenue? If not, we've received a request to transfer this petition to the June 7th date, and that's with notice. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I ask for a vote. McKay?
Aye.
Nelson?
Aye.
Boone?
Aye.
Duckett Brown?
Duckett Brown, yes.
Young votes yes. Thank you. I believe that is it for our special request. Heather?
DV1-015, amended petition 1701 Hoyt Avenue, Center Township, Council District 17, Zone D5, LP2 LLC by Luke Burrow, requesting a variance of development standards of a consolidated zoning and subdivision ordinance to provide for a single-family dwelling and detached garage/carriage house with a 5-foot corner side setback, 8 feet required, 2-foot rear setback, 5 feet required, and structure within the clear sight triangle of the abutting streets. Structures not permitted within the clear sight triangle. 2022 DV1-020, 8197 Clearwater Point, Washington Township, Council District 3, Zone DS. Patrick Kelly by Mark Demerly, requesting variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for a 2,291 square foot building addition with a 12-foot south side setback and a pool with a 10-foot south side setback. Minimum 15-foot setback required, resulting in 78% lot open space, 85% open space required. 2022 DV1-022, 4780 East 41st Street, Washington Township, Council District 9, Zone D3. St. Vincent New Hope by Cindy Thrasher, requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for a sunroom addition with an 11-foot rear yard setback, 20 feet required. 2022 DV1-024, 101 West Washington Street, Center Township, Council District 16, Zone CBD 1 and Regional Center, HTP Properties by Cindy Thrasher, requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for a 5th skyline sign on one building, maximum 4 skyline signs permitted per building. 2022 DV2010, 2827 East 10th Street, amended petition. Center Township, Council District 17, Zone C3 and MU2. Gomez Barbecue by David Gilman, requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for the conversion of parking spaces into an outdoor seating area, resulting in 1 ADA parking space, minimum 17 parking spaces, and 1 ADA space required. 2022 UV1-007, amended petition 3057 Park Avenue, Center Township, Council District 19, Zone D5, Mapleton Fall Creek Development Corporation by Joseph D. Caldron, requesting a variance of use and development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for a residential triplex not permitted with a 6-foot north corner side setback, 8-foot corner side setback required. Is there anyone here today in opposition to any of these petitions I've just read into the record? To the board members, this is your first time doing paper ballots again since pre-pandemic times, and things have changed slightly wherein we don't take testimony from the petitioners anymore on expedited petitions, and you will be verbally making one vote. However, you will have 6 or 7 or so ballots that I have printed for you that at some point very soon you should have or will be signing. So, Mr. Young, that is the end of the expedited docket.
So we're still doing the verbal.
Doing the verbals, we can knock it
And-
out, and sometime before the end of this hearing, sir, I need your signed ballots.
Okay, gotcha. I'll entertain a motion to accept the expedited case list as presented by Heather Steffen. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
As for a vote, McKay,
Aye.
Nelson,
Aye.
Boone,
Aye.
Patrice Duckett Brown,
Duckett Brown, yes.
and Young votes yes also. So you said they do have the ballots, or I'm the only one? I'm just doing this.
You have ballots.
Nobody
All
else
of you have ballots.
Okay.
Even Patrice, who was a surprise addition.
So also
to the
remember to
board.
pull out your continued petition, which is the 2022 UV1007 that was moved to the expedited portion. It should be the last one in your continued petitions.
And then there was also 2022 UV111 on West 82nd Street that you will remove from your expedited ballots.
Thank you.
All petitioners on the expedited docket, if you have no further business with the board, you are free to leave. If you're ready, Mr. Young, I can read the
Yes,
next
we can
case.
continue on with the hearing.
2022 DV1018, amended petition 9490 North Delaware Street, Washington Township, Council District 2, Zone D3. Linda J. Griggs and T. Matthew Griggs, requesting a variance of development standards of the Consolidated Zoning and Subdivision Ordinance to provide for a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard along 95th Street, and to legally establish a shed within the front yard with a 6-foot front setback, maximum 3.5-foot tall fence permitted in the front yard, and minor residential structures not permitted within the front yard, 25-foot setback required. All persons speaking on this today, please step forward to be sworn in. Hi, do you solemnly swear or affirm under the penalty for perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Linda Griggs. I live at 9490 North Delaware Street, Indianapolis.
Matt Griggs, 9490 North Delaware Street, Indianapolis.
Thank you. You have 15 minutes.
I have handouts. Can we hand them out to everybody?
I can come get them.
Okay. Basically, what I'm giving you are the amended findings of facts that I amended after we put the shed in, because Genesis advised me that the shed had to be included in it. We're giving you a petition signed by all of our surrounding neighbors and letters in support of granting the variance for the fence. Little background, we bought the house in 1995. We built the shed in 1998. We built the 4-foot fence in 2001, and we put the pool in 2006. And in 2010, our neighbors across the street built a 6-foot fence and got in violation, had to go through the variance process. That's when I learned that 95th Street is considered our front yard, and excuse me, that we would have to apply for a variance in order to replace our fence. Our fence is now 20-plus years old. It's wooden. You'll have pictures of the fence that you can see, and it's 4-foot fence. I understand 5 or 3.5 foot is maximum, so it's already in violation. So we're requesting approval to leave the barn where it is and has been for 20-some years, and just being allowed to replace our fence in the exact same location with a slightly taller fence There's a swimming pool in the backyard, and one of the pictures I gave you is the broken pickets where the little girl next door climbed the fence to get to some bricks. She's 8 years old, and so if an 8-year-old can climb a 4-foot fence, they can certainly climb a 3-foot fence. The staff has advised that we could build a barrier, but that's not going to stop anybody from entering the yard. And we do have a pool cover, but the pool cover's not always closed. And the one time I look away, I don't want to look back.
Thank you.
Also, one clarification, the fence is...
The pink line.
We live on a corner lot, so the fence is basically in our backyard. I understand that the 95th side is considered a front yard, but traditionally, front part of our house is our front yard, back part of the house would be the backyard, and that's where the fence is that we're trying to replace that's been there for 20 years.
Yes, we're not going
Are
any
you saying that's the red?
Yes. Yeah, the red line is where the fence is, and we just want to keep it where the fence is. And we
But you
keep it
want to
inside
raise
our-
it?
But we want to raise it 6 foot to make it harder for kids or anybody else to climb over, for
6
that matter.
feet tall fence,
I understand.
which is in keeping with the neighborhood. We traveled down 95th Street today to see how many houses actually had fences, and I don't know.
24 houses, and 15 of them have fences. And we did get approval from the Nora Community Council at their hearing last Thursday with no objections.
Thank you. Any other comments? You have some more time?
No? Just
Okay.
like to,
Is there anyone in the audience that has any interest in 2022 DV1018 9490 North Delaware Street? Staff?
Thank you, Chairperson Young and members of the board. As you are aware, staff is recommending denial of the petition before you. The subject site is located on 95th Street and Delaware Street, so it does have 2 technical front yards. The existing improvements on the subject site are a single-family dwelling with a shed, and also, obviously, the wood fence and the pool in the rear yard. The subject site is Zone D3, which is primarily for low or medium intensity residential development. And basically the request is to provide a 6-foot tall fence in the front yard along 95th Street and legally establish the shed within the front yard. So the maximum fence height in the front yard should be 3.5 feet or 4 feet with 30% opacity. If the fence were to be moved back approximately 17 feet to meet the front facade of the house, that would be in compliance. That would be the side yard. And they could have a fence of 6 feet along the house's facade on the north. The purpose of fence height limitations.
I'm sorry, Tim, I don't know who's, Jeffrey, is that you running the, could you bring back up the one picture that you have, the site plan? That has house, pool, and, just so I could get a visual. I'm sorry, Janice, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Yeah, that one. Up.
So in looking in this photo, if they were to move the fence just where the front face of the facade of the house is on the north, it would be considered the side yard, and that would be essentially legal.
The 211 is where, is that the shed?
Yes, that is the shed that is in the front yard.
Okay, so to do that, they would have to move the shed also?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
And a lot of earth, because there's mounds, you have pictures, there's landscaping and stuff on the other side of the fence, so we'd have to flatten all that and move everything.
Okay.
It'd be a financial burden to try and do everything that staff is asking us
Okay.
to do.
Well, you'll get your chance to rebut everything they
Oh,
say.
I'm just saying.
You're okay.
She's fine.
Go ahead, Janice.
So the purpose of fence height limitations within residential districts is really to promote and preserve residential aesthetics. Fences within the front yard, which exceed 3.5 feet or 4 feet with 30% opacity, tend to be more commercial and industrial in nature. And really, you could have landscaping to have similar screening. In the findings, it was mentioned that there is a development on 96th Street in Meridian, which is for mixed use. So really the need for the variance, I guess, or for the 6 foot in height is to keep people out of the yard. But under the ordinance, a requirement for a pool in the rear yard, you could either have a cover or you could fence it by enclosing it. So I don't necessarily believe that that is a practical difficulty for this. Also considering that the fence is going to be reconstructed, it could be moved to be compliant with the ordinance standards. And with that, if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you very much. 5 minutes for rebuttal.
As far as moving the fence, even with the edge of our house, practically at this point, I mean, we've lived here for 27 years. We've developed the site. So we have a approximately 4.5 foot tall mound that this fence would have to go through. And the reason we put the mound there was because originally we had the 4 foot fence. We put grasses on top to try and give us some privacy in the backyard. So to do that would be impractical. The people who lived across the street from us, who actually still live there, they had a variance. They went through the variance process for the same exact things that we're asking for, and they were granted that same variance. So their fence is looks just like what we want to try and build ourselves, and they live right across the street from us.
And it's in the exact same pattern. It comes out on 95th Street just like ours does.
Which neighbor is this?
This fence is in
He asked a question. I'm sorry.
Which neighbor?
Directly east of us. They live on the, what was this, 9461 North Delaware.
Todd and Andrea, and they wrote a letter in support. We have signatures from every neighbor who is contiguous to our property who this would impact. Our neighborhood this house was built in 1955. There are all kinds of houses and all kinds of fences along 95th Street. And what we are asking to do would be in keeping with every other property that has a fence along 95th Street right now. We're not asking to do anything special here.
Or move it.
We're just asking to put a fence up. That's all we're asking.
It's been there. It's never been a problem, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We don't want to have to incur. The fence itself is expensive, and it keeps getting more expensive with the cost of wood. So to try and do a fence and then move everything and re-landscape it, I mean, that doubles the cost of everything. And again, the fence and the barn have been there for over 20 years. They've never been a problem. We've never been in violation. And the only reason I'm here today is because I knew that this was a process you have to go through if you want to build a fence.
Well, I can appreciate you guys not just building the fence, because we do get
Well,
those
that's what
too.
all the neighbors ask us. Why didn't you just build it? I'm like, because I like to play by the rules.
I understand. Good. We appreciate that. Any other questions from the board?
So the 9461, they have a 6 foot fence as well?
They do.
Yes, you can't really see it in that picture, but yes, it's a 6 foot.
Go back to that picture that you were just at.
It's the picture looking, was the last one that said it was looking south on Delaware, but it's actually looking east. Yeah, you can't see it because of the trees.
It is that picture, but that is the residence that we're talking about, directly to the east of our property. So they would be on the southeast corner of 95th and Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
We are on the southwest corner of 95th and Delaware.
Good job. Understood. Any additional questions? If not, members, please cast your ballots.
2022 DV1 018, 5 votes cast. Duckett Brown voted yes. Young, yes. Boone, yes. Nelson, yes. McKay, yes. 5 yes votes, 0 no votes. This variance is approved.
Thank you. Do we have any additional business today?
I have no additional business, but I will ask that every board member remain for a period because in my haste to print ballots for you, I did not print findings for you. So Mr. Steinmetz is going to grab them real quick. And I believe I'm still waiting for Mr. Boone's expedited ballots.
Thank you. Board members, please remain present, and this hearing is adjourned.